Michael Lombardi's comments on Trey Lance have gone viral, and you've gotten various interactions from multiple people. You heard from Kyle Shanahan earlier in a video that I posted on the channel. And after that, we heard from former 49er player Raheem Mostert. If you aren't familiar with the comments that were said about Trey Lance, basically Michael Lombardi, who's a former general manager on the GM Shuffle podcast, had this conversation about what he felt Trey Lance was, and the quote that has really stuck out to a lot of people in a really bad way goes as such. At the end of the day, when his mama lifted him out of his crib, he just didn't have the quarterback instinct. And again, we've talked about this. I've given my opinion on this, but who we're highlighting right now is Raheem Mostert's comments on this and what he had to say. Raheem Mostert found a Sports Illustrated post on Instagram that had posted this quote on the top. This graphic is from NBC Sports Authentic, basically NBC Sports Bay Area. And what Raheem Mostert had to say was, "Hey man, y'all need to stop disrespecting him like this. This is crossing the damn line. Everyone has something to say, but can't back their own BS up." This is kind of what the talking point has been around this entire situation. It's just like, listen, critiques are one thing. Doing film breakdowns and critiquing play on the field, that's one thing. That's something that I think all players understand, and it comes with the territory. They get critiqued every single day in the meeting rooms. It is what it is. But when you take the critique and then you pile on top of it and you start being disrespectful and you start invoking family members and things like this to try to basically take one specific situation, which was preseason. Like, let's not get it twisted. Just because Trey Lance didn't go out and had a phenomenal performance doesn't mean he's a broken, disregarded player. He can still bounce back and have a good career. He's only 23 years old, and he's coming back from an injury. Like, we all know what it is. We know where Trey Lance stands. And what Raheem Mostert is basically saying is like, there's a line of valid and warranted critique when it comes to talking about play on the field. And this is something that players know. I've talked to players about it. They understand it. They recognize it. Again, it's when it goes over the line and starts it stays in this disrespect category. Critique is one thing, criticism is another. And when you're overly critical and criticizing a player about their play on the field, that's where you start bordering on disrespect. And then comments like this from Lombardi are just disrespectful. Again, you can make a point about how you don't believe a player has quote unquote quarterback instincts without invoking a family member. That's where you cross a line as an analyst, as a content creator, as a fan, is when you start getting to these disrespectful levels. That is where this becomes unnecessary. Listen, I've been critical of Trey Lance and his performance against the Raiders, but also being critical of his play on the field. That doesn't mean I believe that Trey Lance is just not going to be a good player in the NFL. He has a long road ahead of him, and he could very well come out next week and have a phenomenal game. Fix the things and the issues that he had in this game, and that's exactly what preseason is for. We don't know yet. We don't know what he is off a preseason game. Was it his best performance? No, but he can come out and have a quality bounce back game to show the improvements, to show he's grounded, and to can show that he can take what he put on tape and improve upon it. That's what we're looking for. So again, this whole conversation, everyone's trying to place definitive statements in their evaluation on everything right now. And that's what that is from David Lombardi. He's just saying flat out, this guy doesn't have quarterback instincts. And it's just like, man, there's a difference between having quarterback instincts and maybe just being a little unconfident. There really is. Like, I think if Trey Lance was fully confident, that game, that performance would have looked much different. And I really like Raheem Mostert coming out and saying what needs to be said. At a certain point, we're not critiquing anymore. It's just disrespectful. And that's the problem with the current state of this conversation about the quarterback is it's now just disrespectful. Everyone's disrespecting each other. It's like again, I've been honest with my evaluations of Trey. I critiqued some of the plays, and people felt it was being disrespectful, and I don't think it was being disrespectful. I think it was analyzing and evaluating the play on the field, which is no different than any coach would do in that type of working scenario. And just because a critique is happening doesn't mean we're also writing the book on him. Doesn't mean that we're saying he's done, he's finito, he's toast. Just, hey, there were opportunities here that were missed, and these are areas for correction. These are things that can be improved, and it wasn't all bad. He did good things too. So, again, that's where this conversation becomes toxic is when people just focusing on like you're coming at my guy, this, that, the other thing. It's like it doesn't have to be like that. Like we can have conversations back and forth. The beautiful thing about football is we all see football differently. We all see it through our own lenses, and our own lenses are going to dictate our evaluations, which means we're not going to have the same evaluation, and that's okay. Doesn't mean we need to come at each other. Doesn't mean we need to take shots at the player. It's just our evaluation. It's just what we see. So, I don't know. We heard from Kyle today. I don't know if we're going to hear from anyone else because again, I think part of it is just, you know, trying to not continue to stir this situation up because we already know there's so many takes on this. There's so many people talking about this that, if you start getting 49ers players coming out about this, it's just going to make it a whole nother thing. It's going to be another thing for the news cycle. I'm going to have to make another video about it. At a certain point, it's just like you got to just move on. So I understand in some sense why, there's really not this big uh, you know, reach out from the 49ers players or whatever because let's face it, people have been talking bad about the 49ers quarterbacks for how long? How many times have people slandered Jimmy Garoppolo? How many people have slandered Trey Lance? And now how many people have slandered Brock Purdy? Like it comes along with the territory. If you're going to be a 49ers quarterback, you got to have some thick skin because whether it's the fan base, whether it's media, whether it's opposing fans, people are coming at your neck until you win. So that's the thing. Like I don't I this is like I think my third or fourth video talking about these comments from Lombardi. And I don't condone them. I don't condone them at all. They're absolutely disrespectful. I agree 100% with Raheem Mostert. There's a huge difference between critiquing and being disrespectful. And right now, this is disrespectful. So at a certain point, I would love to not talk about this anymore. I would love to just talk about football, talk about what's happening on the field, talk about that. And it's just crazy how whatever happens with this quarterback situation, it evolves into something bigger. But again, if you've listened to this whole conversation, let me know what you think. Obviously, I've been talking about this for a while. So I'm curious to know what you guys feel. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.